wish I was there when you came to this. I wish I could kiss you on it right now. My dreams right now, not like being very blessed to protect you. But that's when my dreams are shining and not to be with my century. There is no ultimate conflict. I hope my lifetime will have experienced hardship. Yes, I'll stop there. Let that decision. Please, we'll soon complain the world is cruel and unfair. But that's how the scene of this world has gone find beauty in memories. I hope that when I see our maps blazing the skies with our white trails, we'll think of your God and remember that you fight steadily. We're looking back.
So you just heard one of the letters from the Aswang War, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. So if you ordered Katrina Olan's book Tablay and went with the option to get the extra stuff, then this is one of them. And since I'm a sucker for books with letters, the decision was already made. So I went with Colonel David's story because I like stories where people die. And out of the 4 letters, only one other letter is grim. But it contained spoilers, so I chose to avoid it. So what is this Aswang War? It's a war set in the Philippines in the years 2018 to 2140. And it's not just any war. It's a war with mechas. So that's right. Giant armored robots with pilots, and it's set in the Philippines with a purely Filipino crew. And their enemy? Robot versions of our mythologic creatures. So, pause for a minute and imagine a tikbalang but more metal than flesh. So that's the world of Tablay. So the main story of Tablay is set 136 years into the future. It has mechas, film myth, war. It's set in the Philippines. It's by a Filipino author. It's got Filipino culture that's not just about the food. It's Filipino even down to the characters' mannerisms, and it's got robots. So, what's not to like? I didn't expect this book to be so short, having only 150 plus pages, considering that it's science fiction. And I usually prefer books from that genre to be longer so I can immerse in it. But with this book, despite its short length, I was satisfied. Yes, there are points in the plot that could have been expounded upon and etc, but I don't really care. I'm not bothered at all because I'm just happy that this exists. I feel like I'm finally inching a little closer to finding out how the Westerners must feel like reading about themselves and something familiar to them in fiction. You know what I mean? I first heard about this book when I saw it around social media with that very intriguing, confidential packaging. I first thought it was an arc, so I didn't really bother because I don't like arcs. But then, Ishi uploaded a video about it, and that's when I decided to get myself a copy. And I have to say the marketing of this book is on point. I was excited for this book because robots are my thing. I mean, I actually have a shuffle of plastic models I built myself that I left in Cebu, and a ton of unfinished ones too. Well, anyway, I was excited enough that I started and finished reading this book instead of waiting for Wikathon next month, because I was planning on lining this up for my TBR for August. But I just couldn't wait. The one thing that I feared about this book, though, is if it was going to be a mix of Tagalog and English, it has the danger of sounding cringy. And it in fact does have conversations where Tagalog and English is mixed. Thankfully, it never went there. The flow in changing languages felt smooth enough that it even felt relatable. And that's saying something because I'm not even Tagalog. Luckily, the book is in English for the most part, or I would not have been able to finish it in a day. So I rated this book 4 stars because I had some reservations on whether those not familiar with sci-fi would be able to ease into it with a limited number of pages. I was under the impression that maybe it would be too short in this case. Surprisingly though, it seems most have enjoyed it anyway. And I guess it's because there are a lot of other elements that would keep the reader entertained, and it didn't just narrow to only about the tech. So if you're hesitating because it's sci-fi or the mechas feel intimidating, but the book is making you curious, I say go ahead and pick this book up. Also, it's not a horror story, so don't worry. If you've read this book, what did you think about it? And if you've yet to read it, what are your thoughts or preconceptions before diving into it? And that said, see you next time.